Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is taking us to the Philippines for some exciting news.
Oh, yeah, some good news this time.
They're officially off the FATF gray list.
It's a big deal, definitely.
Maybe for folks who aren't super familiar with the Financial Action Task Force, maybe we can quickly break that down.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of like the watchdog, the international watchdog.
Exactly. They're like the referee, making sure everyone's playing fair in the global financial system, keeping an eye out for things like money laundering and terrorism financing.
Yeah, those big things, making sure no one's cooking the books.
Right, exactly. So being on their gray list, it's basically like being sent to the penalty box.
It's a red flag for sure.
It tells the world that a country might not be doing enough to keep its financial system squeaky clean, and that can scare away investors.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. No one wants to do business with a country that has a reputation for being risky, right?
Exactly. It could really hurt their economy. But in this case, the Philippines is off the hook. They've graduated.
It's a good sign that they've put in the work and are ready to play by the rules on the global stage.
Now, this has got to be a huge relief, especially when you think about the millions of overseas Filipino workers sending money back home.
Right, those remittances are a lifeline for so many families and for the Philippine economy as a whole.
But, I'm curious, how did the Philippines even end up on this list in the first place? What was going on back in June 2021?
Well, let's see. The FATF, they had a few concerns.
Yeah.
They found seven key areas that needed some attention.
7. That's a lot.
It was a bit of a to-do list. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the biggies was casino junkets. Imagine, like, high rollers being flown in, living the high life, but nobody really knows where all that money's coming from.
Oh, I see. A lack of transparency, right?
Exactly, a big red flag.
Okay.
There were also worries about all those unregistered money transfer operators, kind of like informal money wiring services.
Okay, yeah.
And with those, it's easier for money to kind of slip under the radar, you know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Yeah, sounds pretty risky.
And then there's the issue of beneficial ownership information.
Ooh, okay, now you're going to have to break that down for me like I'm 5.
Okay, imagine a company, right? But instead of it just being a straightforward company, it's like a whole bunch of those Russian nesting dolls.
Oh, I like this analogy.
Yeah, so beneficial ownership tells you who's hiding in that smallest doll, the one right in the center, the actual person pulling the strings and benefiting from the company.
Wow, I get it.
But without that information, it's easy for someone to use a bunch of shell companies, hide their transactions, and essentially launder money.
Ah, so it's like a disguise.
Pretty much, yeah. So you can see why the FATF was a little concerned back then.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like a mix of like loopholes and maybe some relaxed oversight that could allow for some, let's say, questionable activities.
You got it.
But the big question is, how did the Philippines turn things around? What did they do?
Well, to their credit, they really took those FATF concerns to heart. They rolled up their sleeves and started working on a pretty serious action plan.
So like a total overhaul.
It was a pretty big deal. A key moment came in July 2023 when President Marcos Jr. issued Executive Order 33.
Oh, okay.
This was their game plan, their roadmap to fix all those areas the FATF had pointed out.
So it wasn't just like a quick Band-Aid solution. They were going after the root of the problem.
Exactly. Executive Order 33 wasn't messing around.
Wow.
It covered everything. I mean, they even started looking closer at non-financial businesses and professions like casinos, real estate agents, you name it.
Oh, so not just the usual suspects in the financial world.
Nope. They were covering all their bases, and they even tightened up the cooperation between different government agencies, getting everyone on the same page.
Yeah, like a team effort.
Exactly. And they really boosted their ability to go after financial crimes, investigations, prosecutions, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, sounds like they sent a pretty clear signal to the FATF that they meant business.
They definitely did, and the FATF, they were impressed. Yeah, so in January of this year, the FATF, they sent a team over to the Philippines, like a checkup visit and make sure they were walking the walk.
I see.
And guess what? They were not disappointed.
That's amazing.
They found that the Philippines had aced their action plan, closed those loopholes, and really strengthened their defenses against financial crime. The FATF even gave them a public shout-out, acknowledged all their hard work.
Now, that's a comeback story, but it's more than just a pat on the back, right? What does this actually mean for the Philippines moving forward?
Well, getting off the gray list, first and foremost, it takes a lot of pressure off.
Right, fewer risks.
Exactly, like the risk of higher transaction fees, trouble accessing international finance, or even sanctions, those are off the table now.
That's got to be a relief for businesses and just regular folks in the Philippines.
Oh, absolutely, and I bet the Anti-Money Laundering Council, the AMLC, they're breathing a sigh of relief too.
I bet. What kind of impact are they expecting from all of this?
Well, they're feeling pretty optimistic, let's just say that. Yeah, they're thinking faster, cheaper, cross-border transactions.
Especially good for those OFWs sending money home.
Yeah, exactly. It'll make a real difference for them. Plus, businesses, they can expect less red tape, less hassle when they're dealing internationally.
That's always a plus.
And there's a big push for more financial transparency, which just builds more trust and makes the Philippines a more attractive place for foreign investors.
So it's a win-win all around. They've strengthened their financial system, gained back international trust, and now they're in a prime position for some serious economic growth.
It's a good reminder that when a country tackles its problems head-on, they can come out on top.
Absolutely, but before we get too carried away, I want to hear about the people behind this success story.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just about policies, it was people coming together to make it happen.
Right, the human element.
Exactly. Both Executive Secretary Bershman and BSP Governor Remolona Jr., they've talked about how the government and the private sector really teamed up on this.
Love that. A true team effort, a whole country pulling in the same direction.
Yep, very inspiring.
But I'm curious, what are some of the concrete benefits the AMLC is highlighting for, the everyday Filipino? And what about those millions of OWs we talked about earlier? How does all of this impact their lives? Let's dig into those details next.
Well, the AMLC, they really believe this is a turning point, especially for OWs.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Those remittances they send back home.
Right.
Fewer fees, less waiting around for the money to arrive.
That's a big deal.
Huge. It's money that goes straight to families, helps small businesses, and just boosts the whole economy.
Makes sense. It's like a ripple effect.
It is a positive one for everyone.
Okay, so it's not just about, these big financial systems. It's real people actually feeling the difference.
That's what makes it so important, exactly.
And, I bet other countries, the ones dealing with similar issues,
Oh, yeah.
they're probably taking notes right now.
They should be. The Philippines is a good example.
Yeah.
It shows that if you're serious and have a solid plan, you can really turn things around and gain back that global trust.
Rebuild your reputation.
Exactly.
But, the AMLC, understandably, they're painting a pretty rosy picture.
Uh-huh.
But are there any potential downsides? Are there any challenges that they maybe haven't talked about as much?
That's a sharp question.
Well-
And it's good to be critical, to think about all sides.
Of course.
The AMLC, they are mostly optimistic, but they do realize there might be some bumps in the road.
Okay.
Keeping up this level of compliance, it takes work. It's not a one-time thing.
Right. Can't just check the box and move on.
Nope, it's an on-duty effort. They got to stay on top of things.
Right.
And there's a chance, with all this increased scrutiny,
Yeah.
that legitimate businesses might face some hurdles, at least in the
Well,
beginning.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's all about finding the right balance. But overall, I think the benefits definitely outweigh the risks.
Definitely. And I bet this positive momentum, it could even spread beyond the Philippines.
Oh, absolutely. It shows the world that they're serious about being a responsible player in the global financial system.
So it's not just about their own backyard. It's about contributing to a more stable world for everyone.
That's the idea.
That's a really powerful message, but I gotta wonder what's next. Where does the Philippines go from here?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The AMLC, they seem to think this is a real turning point,
Okay.
They think it'll attract more foreign investors, encourage more people to start businesses, create new opportunities.
It's like a fresh start.
It is a whole new chapter. Everyone's excited to see what happens next.
But let's get down to brass tacks. What kind of long-term economic impact are you talking about?
Right.
Could this really push the Philippines to a whole new level globally?
I think it's definitely possible, yeah.
Okay.
A more stable, transparent financial system, that's what investors look for.
Right.
That kind of capital flowing in, it could be transformative. New infrastructure projects, job creation, technological advancements, all of that.
So it's not just about, preventing financial crime. It's laying the groundwork for real lasting growth.
Exactly. That's the key.
And when you think about the Philippines, their location, their young workforce, their commitment to all these reforms,
Right.
it makes them a really attractive option for investors.
Absolutely.
It's like they're stepping onto the world stage, ready to make their mark.
They are. It's exciting to see.
Definitely. But before we wrap up, I want to make sure our listener walks away with the key takeaway.
Okay, sure.
What's the real essence of this story?
I think the biggest lesson here is that decisive action, it really makes a difference.
Yeah.
The Philippines, they had a problem, they owned it, they found solutions.
They didn't shy away from the hard stuff.
Yep, they dug in, made those tough changes, and proved they were serious.
It's a good lesson for anyone, countries, organizations, even individuals.
Absolutely. When you hit a roadblock, you got to keep moving forward.
And what really stood out to me was that collaborative spirit.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing to see.
It wasn't just orders from the top. It was a real partnership, everyone working together.
Right. Government, private sector, everyone on board.
That shows that real change often takes everyone pitching in.
And when everyone's pulling in the same direction, you can achieve some amazing things.
But it's not just a feel-good story, right?
No, it's deeper than that.
It highlights the importance of transparency, accountability, ethical practices.
Yeah, those aren't just buzzwords.
They're the foundation of a strong society.
Exactly. And in a world where financial crime is getting more and more complex,
Right.
the Philippines' success, it's a glimmer of hope.
It is.
It shows that we can fight back, make our systems stronger, and build a more secure and fair financial world.
Absolutely. But before we get too philosophical, I want to leave our listeners with a question, something to really think about.
Okay, yeah.
What's the one question they should take away from this deep dive?
Here's one. Now that the Philippines has turned things around and is ready for growth,
Right.
what role will they choose to play on the world stage?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Will they be a leader for transparency and ethical practices?
Inspiring others.
Exactly. Or will they just focus on their own advancement?
Interesting.
Only time will tell, but it's a question worth pondering.
It is, as we watch the Philippines continue to evolve,
Exactly.
it really is remarkable.
Yeah,
It's like watching a country kind of reinvent itself.
it is.
And I think what's so inspiring about this whole story,
Yeah,
it's a testament to, like, resilience
right.
and determination. They faced a pretty big challenge, but they didn't just give up.
No, not at all.
They got to work, took action.
They did, and what impresses me is that
Yeah.
they didn't just go for the quick fix, you know?
Right, not a Band-Aid solution.
Yeah, they really tackled those underlying problems head on.
Wow.
Put those strong systems in place to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But like they used that time, being on the gray list,
Uh-huh.
to not only improve their own situation, but to become a role model for other countries.
Exactly. A real example to follow.
And in a world where financial crime is just getting more and more complicated,
Oh, yeah, it's a constant battle.
I think this is a message we can all learn from.
It is. It shows that even when things get tough,
Yeah.
we can turn things around, you know?
Create positive change.
Exactly. Sometimes those setbacks, they can actually lead to growth and innovation.
It's like a turning point.
It can be, yeah.
So it's not just a victory for the Philippines, it's a win for anyone who believes in working together and building a more transparent and accountable financial world.
Shouldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the Philippines' incredible journey off the FATF gray list.
Sounds good.
We hope this conversation has sparked your interest and that you'll continue to follow this story as it unfolds. After all, knowledge is power, and the more we understand about what's happening in the world,
Yeah,
the better prepared we are to, navigate it all.
absolutely.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you at our next deep dive.
See you then.